Okay, so let's dive into this whole idea of building your own AI, specifically for healthcare. It sounds kind of complicated, right?
It does.
But it might be easier than you think.
Yeah, I think people would be surprised.
Yeah, and we've got some really interesting stuff to look at today. We've got articles about open source tools, real world examples,
Oh, cool.
and even an interview with an AI expert who's, out there on the cutting edge.
Awesome.
What we really want to do is give you a clear roadmap.
Like a blueprint.
Yeah. So you can see how to actually make this kind of project happen.
Yeah, that's what's so fascinating to me is like this isn't, way off in the future. This is stuff you can do right now.
Exactly. And for someone like you, leading a business, this is a chance to get ahead of everyone else.
Totally.
Think about it. You can have your own AI working with your company's data, and it never has to leave your systems.
Right.
That's huge for security, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, one of the things that makes this possible is this idea of distillation. And it's kind of like, you've got these big, massive language models, these really powerful AIs like DeepSeek or MedPalm 2.
Right.
And those are great, but they're also really big and really expensive.
So they're kind of like having a world-famous doctor.
Yeah.
The best in the world, but they charge a fortune for just a few minutes.
Exactly, yeah.
Not very practical.
Yeah, so instead of trying to use those giant models directly, what we do is we distill their knowledge into something smaller.
Cool.
It's kind of like you're training, a new doctor. They're learning from the expert.
Oh, I like that. It's like an apprentice.
Exactly.
So we're basically making a mini expert just for what we need.
That's it.
Okay, but how do we really, build this thing?
Well, there's a process, and
Yeah.
we can break it down into 4 main steps.
All right.
First, you've got to get set up, get your data. Then there's the distillation and training. After that, we evaluate and refine it.
Okay.
And finally, we deploy it and make sure everything's running smoothly.
Okay, so it's like a roadmap.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, so let's start with step 1, setup and data. What do we absolutely have to have?
Well, first, you need the right tools. Luckily, there's a lot of really good open source stuff out there that makes this way easier than it used to be.
Okay, good.
And of course, you need data.
Right, data is like the fuel for AI, right?
It is.
But in healthcare, data is really important, but it's also really sensitive.
For sure.
So how do we get the right data?
Well, you have a few options. You could use real data from patient records or medical research papers, but that comes with a lot of privacy and security stuff to think about.
And I bet it's hard to even get that data in the first
Yeah,
place.
it can be.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people are looking at synthetic data.
Synthetic data.
Yeah. You basically use another AI to create data that looks like real patient info, but without using anyone's actual information.
Oh, wow. So it's like practice data,
Exactly.
like a simulation.
Yeah, and we've talked before about how people are using AI to make up questions that patients might ask about type 2 diabetes, for example.
That's right. That was really interesting.
It is, and it's a much safer way to train an AI, ethically speaking.
So even with this fake data, you still have to be really careful.
You do. You have to make sure it's good data, representative, and not biased or anything like that. We don't want our AI making bad decisions because it learned from bad data.
Right. So whether it's real or synthetic, getting the data is a big deal. It's not just about getting any data. It's got to be the right data.
You got it. And it all has to be done the right way, thinking about security and ethics every step of the way.
Of course, healthcare data is super sensitive. So we've got our tools and our data, and we're being careful about security and ethics. What's the next step in building our AI agent?
Well, now comes the distillation and training. We've got the data, we've got our foundation, and now we need to pick our student model, the smaller AI that's going to learn from the big expert teacher model.
It's like we're picking the right resident to learn from the world-famous expert.
Exactly. And then we start the training process. We show it all the data that the big expert AI already knows, and we help it learn the same patterns, the same way of thinking.
It's kind of amazing that we can teach AI like that.
It is, and it's what makes this distillation process so efficient and powerful. We're taking that incredible knowledge and making it work for us.
It's starting to feel more real now,
Yeah.
Like this isn't science fiction anymore. We could actually do this.
Oh, absolutely, you can.
But I'm sure there are still some challenges.
Of course. Building an AI, especially for something like healthcare, is never easy. But if we have a plan and we do it responsibly, it can be incredibly rewarding.
That's a great point. And speaking of real-world examples, I think we have someone joining us who's actually done this, built AI for healthcare, I mean.
We do.
We've been talking about how to actually build your own local AI, and now we're excited to have Faisal Salim join us. You've co-founded AI companies, worked on healthcare
Yeah,
platforms.
he's got an amazing track record.
You even integrated complex systems at Islamabad Airport. That's quite a range.
Thanks. Well, what we're really interested in today is your work with Shifa. That's a healthcare platform using telehealth, AI, and even embedded systems, right?
That's right, yeah.
And I'm especially interested in your APNAA doctor kiosk project. It sounds like you're really using tech to help people who don't have easy access to healthcare.
Yeah, thank you. The APNA Doctor Project is something I'm really passionate about. We wanted to bring good healthcare to communities in Pakistan that really needed it. And these kiosks, they have AI-powered tools to help diagnose patients, and people can even video chat with a doctor right there.
Yeah. That's incredible. It's a perfect example of how powerful technology can be, actually making a difference in people's lives.
And it really ties in with what we're talking about, these local AI agents. You're bringing the AI directly to the people who need it.
Exactly. And the technology in these kiosks is getting better all the time. We're adding more advanced AI and using things like distillation to make the whole system better and more efficient.
That's great.
Let's say we have this distilled AI, it's trained, it's ready to go. What happens next?
Well, next up is evaluation and refinement. You figure out how you'll measure if it's working, like how well it answers questions, how accurate its analysis is, and then you test it a lot.
I think the stage is really all about working together and making improvements. You have to involve doctors and other healthcare folks in the testing to make sure the AI really fits their needs and how they work.
It's like a constant back and forth. You learn something, make the AI better, learn something else, and keep improving.
Right, especially in healthcare. There's always new discoveries and new information, so your AI has to be able to adapt and keep learning too.
You've been doing this for a while now, building and using these AI systems.
Okay, so we've built this AI, we've checked it, we've refined it. Are we ready to move in?
Almost. Now it's time for deployment and monitoring. This is where it gets really exciting because
Yeah.
we're actually making the AI operational. We might create a secure API so other systems can talk to it or package it up in a container using something like Docker. It's all about making it easy to deploy and manage within your organization.
And I'd say start small. You don't need to build the perfect system right away. Try it out, get feedback, and keep making it better.
That's a good point. Don't try to do everything at once.
Right, be flexible. And of course, security is still super important.
You got it. Things like access control, encryption, checking for vulnerabilities,
Yeah.
all those best practices are crucial to protect sensitive data and make sure your AI remains a valuable part of your system.
It's like almost like having a new team member, someone who's incredibly smart and constantly learning.
Right.
But even with this amazing AI, we can't forget that humans are still in charge, right?
I completely agree. Think of it as working together. The AI does the hard work of analyzing data and finding information, but the humans are still the ones who make sense of it all, make the decisions, and make sure everything is being done ethically. It's a partnership.
This has been so interesting. We've talked about a lot, from Faisal's amazing story to the idea of synthetic data.
Yeah.
But let's not forget, our goal is to build a local AI. And to do that, we have to understand distillation.
Right. We've got our data. We've picked our student model.
Right.
Now we got to unlock the secrets of transferring that knowledge from the big teacher model.
Okay, so let's dive in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we're back. And we're finally getting into the core of this whole thing, distillation. We've got our data, we've picked out the right student model, and now we got to get that knowledge transfer going from the big, powerful teacher model.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. You've got this teacher model, like DeepSeek, that's learned so much, like a walking medical encyclopedia. But it's also incredibly complicated and needs a ton of resources to run. Not exactly something you can just plug into your company's network.
Yeah, it's like having all the medical textbooks in the world, but needing a whole team of experts just to find the right paragraph.
Exactly. So what distillation does is it basically creates a Cliff's Notes version of all that knowledge. We show our smaller student model the same stuff that the big expert teacher already knows, and we guide it to learn the same patterns, the same logic, the same insights.
So we're not just dumping data into the student model, we're teaching it to think like a medical expert.
Exactly. To see the connections, to pick up on those subtle details. And because we're using a smaller, more focused model, it's way easier to manage and run within our own systems.
So it's like taking all that powerful knowledge and making it practical, making it something we can actually use. That's pretty cool.
It is. And that's what makes this whole idea of building your own AI for healthcare so game-changing. We're not stuck with those giant cloud-based systems anymore.
Yeah.
We can bring the power in-house, customize it for what we need, and keep all our sensitive data safe and sound within our own walls.
But even with the best AI in the world, we still need doctors and nurses, right? The
Yeah.
human element is still crucial.
Absolutely. AI is a powerful tool, but it can't replace human judgment, compassion, or that essential connection between a doctor and a patient. It's about working together, combining the best of both worlds.
So it's like having an incredibly smart medical assistant who can analyze tons of data, find patterns, give us insights, but the human doctor is still the one in charge, making the decisions and ensuring the patient gets the best possible care.
That's a great analogy, and it highlights one of the most exciting things about AI in healthcare, the potential to make diagnoses more accurate, to streamline all those processes, and to give healthcare professionals more time to focus on what really matters, taking care of people.
It's about AI and humans working as a team, using the strengths of both to create a future of healthcare that's more efficient, more effective, and ultimately more focused on the human experience.
Exactly. And as you think about building your own AI, remember it's not just about the tech. It's about having a vision, a commitment to doing things the right way, and a belief that AI can truly make a positive difference in healthcare.
Well said. Building your own AI isn't some far-off fantasy anymore. It's something you can do starting today. The journey begins by understanding the process, making smart choices about data, and always putting security and ethics first. The future of healthcare is going to be shaped by AI. Are you ready to be a part of it?